the room. Come on in the room box. Win it tonight. 131-115 at the 5-serve. A 131-115 final. Yeah, you know what? We got a guest now, so let's do it. Doc is our doctor. He writes out all of our scripts. He gives us our medicine in our room. We are live. Creeps in the crossover cruiser.
Chris King.
And we have Rami Makloff in the building.
What's going on, guys? Was I supposed to jump in there and say my name? Was this a roll call thing? Oh, my bad. My bad. That's my bad.
All good. All good. We appreciate it. Appreciate Rami for joining us tonight for a little bit. If you want to, get at us in the chat on the YouTube. Get at us on the Twitter at TCIIIYEEE. You know how we do it, but come on in the room. 131-115. It's a dub for your Milwaukee Bucks. Feeling good to get in the win column. And I know that a lot of you guys are saying, oh, the tank, and you messed the tank. It's okay. One game's not gonna destroy the tank. Nothing bad's gonna happen. I was excited for a win tonight. 131-115. Let's do a game recap on the night for your Milwaukee Bucks. 31-10-6. 12 of 22, 3 of 5 from 3, a plus 18 in the scoring column for Kyle Kuzma. Good stuff there. Emil Coffey ran around a little bit, got himself 2 points. Miles Turner, 15-4. AJ Green got himself off the schneid, 17, 4 and 2, 6 of 11 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3. Good to see him scoring. Ryan Rollins, consistent, played really well. 21 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds for him, 8 of 21 from the field. 21 points, get 21 shots. 21 shots, get 21 points, but we'll take it. He was a +7. Pete Nance got in action. Thought he looked really good tonight. 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. How about Jericho Sims? 9 points, 9 rebounds in 21 minutes of action. Good stuff from Jericho Sims, who was a +29 on the night. How about Gary Trent Jr. getting himself in on the action? 15 points, looking good. Cole Anthony, saw him roll his ankle at the end of the game. Try to get the Nats some free throws. Didn't work, but that's okay. Looking on the Chicago side of things, they had some guys out, obviously. Josh Giddey, one of those guys. But they had Buzelis with 22, Okoro at 9 points. Kobe White, for a second in that third quarter, I think almost took over the game. We really did take over the game. 21 and 10 for him. Ayo had 17 points as well. And how about Patrick Williams, who's been interesting stuff for him. Gave him a big contract, gave him a deal. He has not worked out for Chicago, but 17 points, 5 rebounds for him. Chicago also involved in a trade today, so they get another guard. Anthony Simons will come in at some point, but they lose Vucevic to the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about that as well. But the Bucks get the win, 131-115. And what did I see tonight? Again, tonight was it was good to see from the Milwaukee Bucks. A well-rounded performance. They were basically up all night. They were up 20 early in the first half. They got themselves up 20. At one point, we're up 26 points in this basketball game. And again, I just enjoyed seeing the Milwaukee Bucks do. I enjoyed seeing them play well. I understand, you're trying to lose, you're losing some of these games, but it's good to see a win. It really was. And for a second, it was a little too quiet in the building, but I realized, it wasn't just quiet. It was Chicago Bulls fans that were there. So as the Bulls started getting their rally going and Kobe White started scoring fast breaking transition over and over and over again, that's when the crowd started to get alive a little bit. But the Bucks did a great job of pushing that back and taking back over control of the game when Chicago cut the lead to 6. So again, tonight I was happy about it. You saw some of the Bucks young players do a solid job in Ryan Rollins, in AJ Green, in Jericho Sims and Pete Nance. But then you also saw the veterans go in and play some good basketball. Kyle Kuzma leading the charge with that. And again, those are the things you need if you want to win some games. We'll see if Kyle Kuzma ends up traded at the deadline. Bobby Portis didn't play with the hip issue. Another guy you could see potentially not going to be here. And, of course, the Giannis news, which we're going to get all to in a second here. But it was a 131-115 victory for your Milwaukee Bucks. That's what I saw. Chris King, what did you see?
Yeah, certainly great to see a win for the Bucks. And I think when you just look at this from a 30,000-foot view, you just look at the things the Bucks have been doing wrong all season, they did right tonight. Like the rebounding battle. There was one point, I think, in the second quarter where the Bucks actually had an even amount of possessions as the Bulls, and sometimes we get caught in not getting enough possessions, not getting enough offensive rebounds, not getting enough shots up offensively. And tonight they did that, and they had a hot shooting night. And so I think what happens there is you reap the benefits of keeping possessions alive, rebounding the basketball, getting out and running. And they did that tonight. And I know it's not against a tough Bulls squad. It's not against a team that has all of its players right now, and they're going to get acclimated to the Bulls organization. But I think you still are certainly happy with just being able to get out there, get a win, and see some bright spots from certain guys. Look, we talked about how A.J. Green and Gary Trent Jr. haven't really carried the load this year all that much. And for those two guys to have decent shooting nights or good shooting nights at that, I think you just see that does carry a lot of weight. Talk about the Amir Coffey decision was interesting. Doc's still showing some loyalty to Amir Coffey to get him back in the starting lineup. Didn't play all that much, didn't shoot all that much, but just an interesting note I saw out there. And yeah, I mean, Kuz took over the game, a lot of and ones for him and impacting the game in other ways than scoring. And the rebounding was good. And I think that's why the Bucks won this game tonight. So I'm impressed. I'm happy that they got a win without Giannis. Certainly want to give these guys a little bit of experience too, the younger guys, to go out there and get a lot of volume, shoot a lot of shots, and tonight they made them. So I think that's why they got the win tonight.
Yeah, and if you're like, which I am, I don't know if you guys are. If you're like in for the tank, like you can't lose them all. You know what I mean? You can't lose them all. You often hear you can't win them all. Well, you can't lose them all either. They're going to lose plenty of games to move up in the lottery odds. I don't think that's anything you really got to worry about, especially as long as Giannis is out, and we'll see how long he is going to be out. But also the other silver lining in this thing is, man, everybody is on the block right now in terms of a trade possibility, and Kyle Kuzma is him along with Bobby Portis are the two guys whose names come up most often in trade rumors that aren't named Giannis. So for him to go out and put this on tape for the rest of the league and anybody who might be interested in acquiring the services of a Kyle Kuzma, it was a good night for that. I don't know about you, Trey, but I for a second when the Bulls they were up by 26 at one point. The Bucks were when the Bulls cut that down to 6. I was like, man, are they gonna are the Bucks gonna blow this against the Bulls JV squad? Because like with the trades they made and the injuries they had, that was a shorthanded bad Bulls team that you were going up against. I really thought they were about to blow a 26-point lead, but I mean, yeah, honestly, even if you want the tank, there's something that feels good about a win and seeing that, you know, they still have that. They can still pull out a win against an NBA team, even if it is that NBA team that we saw tonight with the Bulls.
Yeah, you want to see a win at some point, right? Like I got to see a dub, and I was excited about that. NYC Randy with the super chat, appreciate it, brother. And NYC Randy, Robbie doesn't know. NYC Randy is a loyal, faithful viewer of this program who has not been here for the last, I don't know, Chris, what it's been about 3-4. He's been totally checked out. But he says, hey, fellas, just stopping by to show love. Non-Giannis era is going to be hard for me. Haven't watched the game since he got hurt. Oh, that's what it was. He says, saw Kuz was going crazy, though. Sim to the offseason. Hope you're doing well. NYC, we appreciate you, man. We miss you on in the comment section every single night. Appreciate the super chat, NYC. But yeah, he's been out for a sec. You know, listen, some people go as Giannis goes, and we'll see how this works as we keep rolling tonight. Good stuff. MW Ballers TV says Rom Dogs. You got some fans in the building as well. But here's what but we talked about here's what tonight and tomorrow for the most part are going to be about. We're glad we got Rami Makloff here from 105.7 The Fan talking with us and breaking some of this stuff down. And Chris, we'll talk about all this in a vacuum. Rami, I want to ask again. You saw what Minnesota did this afternoon. It seems like teams are starting to try to. It seems like number one, we're down to just 2 teams now for Giannis, right? Mm-hmm. Miami and Minnesota. And Minnesota gets rid of Mike Conley. They had an opportunity to I believe in this deal. I believe they said there was a chance they could get
Kobe White
back.
Bulls,
and they said no. They hit the Conley out. No, we're good. We're waiting on something a little bit bigger. is what they want. Mike Conley sounds like he's going to be rerouted, and he will. It's not rerouted, but he's like he'll be a buyout candidate as at some point and see if he can help another team. He's had a rough year. Seems like it's at the end of the line for him. But I want to go to you, Rami, and ask you from Minnesota, from what you see of the Minnesota offer, right, or at least some of the things that they can that they can provide. Do you like it? You saw the article come out from Jim Orzowski, say his name right, today during the game where Giannis basically reaffirms his love for the Milwaukee Bucks and says, I basically says he wants to, you know what I want. You know what I want. I want to retire a Buck. He says all the right things here. We know that there are discussions going on back channel. Where are you now? Where I believe the deadline, somebody in the chat tells us, I think we talked about before the show started, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Where are you right now? What are you feeling? This is a franchise defining moment, right? For the Bucks.
It really is. Yeah.
So where are you right now?
Because I've said on the show 9 to noon, me and John Kuhn, and Trey is a guest every Thursday. He's gracious enough to grant us some of his time every Thursday to talk Bucks. I've been saying, like, for those of you who are eager to trade Giannis, get ready. You know what I mean? Because it's back to NBA purgatory once the Giannis era ends for the foreseeable future. Indefinitely, you're back into NBA purgatory, and for possibly up to a decade or more. Those are just the odds that you land a superstar like a Giannis. The Bucks have had 2 of them in the history of their franchise. You got to go back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before you had a guy who was the caliber of a Giannis Antetokounmpo, who could single-handedly put a team on his back and carry them into championship contention. So I'm not eager to see the Giannis era end with the Bucks, and I don't think it is ending, at least not before the trade deadline, guys. I've been saying that all along, and I'm staying firm with that. And I don't doubt that the Wolves we're making room for Giannis today and making moves to try and clear the deck for a Giannis trade. I just the offers I've seen, Trey, I don't know what you've seen, but the offers I've seen have not been overwhelming, and mostly from the standpoint of what teams can offer in draft picks. I mean, we had, what was the trade that went to, Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies went for 3 first-round picks and some players. Like, if that's the price for Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane is getting teams 4 first-round picks. And what did the Timberwolves give up a few years ago for Rudy Gobert? Wasn't it like 8 first-round picks or something like that? Like, if that's the price for those guys, what's the price for a top 3 player in this league? And maybe not 3 or 2, in my opinion. He might be the best player in this league when healthy. And I just don't think these teams right now have the assets to mount up and make it enough to get Giannis out of the Bucks' hands. I think this offseason that could change, because some of these teams, as the Bucks also do, get control of more of their future first round picks that they could offer in a deal for Giannis. But I don't think it's the foregone conclusion or that it's something that's imminent that Giannis is not a Buck in the near future. Be that at the trade deadline, which I'm pretty certain isn't happening, but even in the offseason, guys, I don't think this is as over as a lot of people seem to think it is.
And I would tend to agree with that it's not as over as it seems. And there again, as we talk about all the time, there is that piece, that light at the end of the tunnel, that when in October or before, they're gonna have to know before October. But the Bucks are gonna be able to offer Giannis the 4 years, $275.
Yep.
And it's going to be right in front of him. And he's going to have to say, yeah, I get that from somewhere else. Or I don't want that. Or I'll wait another 6 months to go get it. And, especially with the calf injuries that he's had, anything could go wrong. And that's not something you want to wait on. So I agree with you. It's there. And I know some people in the chat have been talking about different packages. And I agree. The packages have been underwhelming. But to make it work, I saw a report today, they're going to need 4. They may need 3 to 4 to 5 teams to make something work for Giannis as far as draft compensation. Now, you mentioned Triple J. who went for, I believe, 3 firsts or what it was. Again, difference there. I ask you, here, difference there is, I believe Jaren Jackson has 3 years left on his contract. So you'd have a guy who is going to be there for a little while, where Giannis is not the exact same, and Giannis is 31 at this point. I get it. There's a picks involved there. There were 3 picks, I think, for Desmond Bane. There were 4, but one of them was to get off of KCP. So you have that aspect going for you there. What does it take minimum for, again, if it is, because I go back to Miami's offer, and I understand why the Bucks are like, no, this is not enough. Like Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware today, I believe, got benched, got taken out of the game, and apparently Spo and some coaches talked to. So I get some of this, but what is it gonna? What is it gonna take for you not to look at John Horst and be like, dude, you might as well wait it if this is the package?
4 to 6 first-round picks. 4 to 6 first-round picks for Giannis. Again, if it's 3 for Jaren Jackson, if it's 4 for Desmond Bane, and you're right, there are like mitigating factors there that up those guys' value for sure. But when it comes to the contract, I don't think anybody's trading for Giannis without some assurance that he's going to sign an extension with that team, and they're not just getting like a 1+ year rental for the bounty they're going to have to give up to get that guy. And yeah, Jaren Jackson Jr. is younger. Desmond Bane is younger than Giannis. But, Giannis happens to be Giannis. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's that dude. Those guys, even, they might be younger, but they're not that dude. And they're not going to be that dude. Like, you're getting that type of, that caliber, that quality of player. And I think it sort of cancels out in terms of the value what those other guys have going for him that Giannis maybe doesn't, in terms of age or health or contract situation. Like the counter to that is he's Giannis, bro. You know what I mean? You're not. They're not. Those guys just aren't that caliber of players. So the trade package has to be on par, if not more, than some of these deals that I'm naming off, whether it's Gobert or Bane or the one that we saw today for Jaren Jackson Jr. It has to be on par with those, if not better. So I'm saying 4 to 6 first-round picks, and, most of these deals have included a relatively young NBA-ready player who could be the part of a future core. But I don't even really care about that. I'm in it for the picks, quite frankly.
You're in it for the picks, and that's a good. So let's play that. Let's play that out. So would you? Because here's the other thing, John Horst, we've talked about on this program at length about his drafting and what we do and don't like for the most about his drafting. And I don't know. I'm of the mindset Jimmy Haslam just bought the team, or got it. Like, does he really want to buy a team and I'm just thinking out loud, does he want to buy a team and then go into a full rebuild, or would he at least want to? Because again, I get it, and there's this thought about picks being the big thing, but we've also heard from Shams and others that they want a blue chip prospect, like they want a big time player to come along with that. Is there anybody in Minnesota that you think has that? Again, they talk about Rob Dillingham as a guy that could come over in that trade. Of course, they have Julius Randle, but I would think you'd be pushing him somewhere else.
Right.
Anybody in Minnesota that you Jay McDaniels obviously be your. I mean, that seems so tough that Jay McDaniels be like the centerpiece of a Giannis trade. Anybody in Minnesota or a team that you could reroute that you're like, okay, if we get him, that makes this worth it.
I mean, Jaden McDaniels is probably the most tempting in Minnesota, but that doesn't do a whole lot for me in terms of the blue chip prospect that you're getting in this deal. The funny thing is, Trey, I hear people saying I don't want to give up him to get Giannis. That's crazy. That right there is crazy, and it's always funny to me when these guys are on the block. Like, I remember when the Raptors were in on Kevin Durant, and they're like, we're not trading. Who was it that they wouldn't put on the block? Scotty Barnes. They were like, we're not trading Scotty Barnes to get. What are you even talking about? You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean that's tempting. Jalen Johnson is tempting from Atlanta, but I don't think they have the draft picks to package with it. And the point I keep coming back to, and I think Atlanta is a perfect example. There's two criteria that these teams have to meet to make a Giannis trade happen, to pull off a Giannis trade. One, you have to have the assets to convince the Bucks to let you have the services of Giannis. And two, after you give up those assets, do you have a roster or a situation that is that much better than what he could have in Milwaukee? Because Giannis wants to win a championship, man. He needs to go somewhere where he has a much better chance of winning a championship than he does here. And I don't know how many teams have the assets or the pieces to give up and still have a roster that gives him a much better chance of winning a championship. I think that's one of the things that has been sort of a roadblock in these trades, that teams can't meet one of or both of those criteria.
Rami, real quick for me too, you said something that really caught my attention in the game recap when we're talking about, okay, if this is what the Bucks don't do, if they don't trade Giannis at this deadline, and these guys may play up their value in the next couple of days, like, what does a deadline look like? And Trey, you can answer this too. What does a deadline look like if you're not moving off of Giannis here? And what kind of pieces would you be most willing to move in case we could build a different kind of roster, change the roster around to, again, to your point, try to give some appeal to Giannis in the offseason?
I don't know how much roster flexibility they have at the trade deadline. Like we talked about, Kyle Kuzma could be on the block. Bobby Portis could be on the block. I don't think either of those guys is getting you any high value draft picks or anything like that, or one of these blue chip prospects that we're talking about. And they only have one first round pick that they could move. Like if they were trying to get, they've been rumored to be interested in a Ja Morant, and I don't hate that idea, but I'm not trading that first round pick unless I have some assurances that I'm building around Giannis. Like, yeah, Ja Morant intrigues me, but Ja Morant intrigues me with Giannis. I'm not giving up that first round pick to get a Ja Morant and then watch Giannis walk in free agency, or you're trading him this offseason. If I'm getting a Ja Morant, it's to entice. It's me turning to Giannis and going, hey man, if we do this, are you in it for the long haul? Are you going to sign this Supermax in the offseason? And if you get some kind of assurance that he's willing to do that, I'm willing to part with that first round pick that they have right now. Otherwise, I'm holding on to that and using it, whether it be when that pick comes up, like the time comes to actually make it, or in another future trade. But I'm not investing my future unless I have some kind of assurance that Giannis is part of that future. So I don't know how much room or how many resources or assets they have to make any sort of major move between now and the trade deadline that's not involving Giannis.
Yeah, I don't think Ja Morant's gonna. I would be surprised if there's a first round pick that's available for Ja Morant. And matter of fact, I was reading stuff today where they were saying that because they got so much, if you will, for Jared Jackson Jr. Maybe Memphis is even more willing to part with pennies on the dollar, if you will, for Ja Morant. And yeah, I definitely wouldn't give up the pick that the Bucks are going to make in this draft, but I probably would give a first round pick at all for Ja Morant. But if you did, it would be one of the future one that you're gonna get. And once you got that, then you have a first round draft pick. Hopefully, if you're tanking or whatever, you have that draft pick. And then you're mixing that with the Ja Morant or Giannis. Again, I am skeptical that the Bucks go after Ja Morant in any event. But I want to ask you, that's a great question. To answer your question, though, Chris, you asked, whether what the deadline looks like. Again, I just think it depends on the direction that the franchise it wants to go. And if they're all in on this tank for, this tank thing, then you kind of, I think everything's around the margins. I think it's around the margins. You get rid of Bobby, get rid of Kuz, get what you can, even if you're getting three, because the Bucks don't have any second round picks either. Like, remember they gave a bunch of second round picks away for Jay Crowder. Like, can you just want to get as much back possible, and expiring contracts. And again, because I do think Bobby Portis is an asset. And I'm not saying you're going to get, a bunch of stuff, but I think he's an asset to some team around the league. Kuzma, now he can't play like this, but Kuzma tonight was really good. Again, I think he's a good versatile wing defender. So again, I think you're around the margins, and I think you're trying to convince Giannis to stay, and then you have 3 first round picks if you need to try to go get a superstar. But you mentioned one thing, Rami, where you said that Giannis, we talked. Giannis was winning a championship. What do you think if he does go to Minnesota? What would you think of the fit? Do you think that makes, and again, they're already contenders. Do you think that makes Minnesota the class? And again, obviously depends on how much they give up, because you don't know what their team's going to look like after,
Right.
the Bucks hopefully pick apart whatever, assets they have. But do you think Giannis and Ant, does that work? And does that make them, again, I have to assume they're more formidable, but is that enough, for Giannis? I just think Minnesota, maybe leave Milwaukee, go to Minnesota, play with Ant. But anyway,
I mean, it is. I always say it's, and I'm not the only one with this take. It's not original by any means, but this is a superstar driven league. You know what I mean? And more times than not, when the playoffs come, I'll look at any particular series, and usually I'm picking the team with the best player in that series. You have Giannis and Anthony Edwards. Chances are you have the two best players in that series. So yeah, I think that makes them a force. I think that's a formidable duo, and I assume that their head coach could make that work better than Doc was able to make Giannis and Dame work, which still boggles my mind that Doc Rivers just couldn't crack that code or put together the pieces of that puzzle to make two of the best scorers in this league and two of the top 75 players ever to lace them up in this league. Just couldn't figure out how to make that work. That boggles my mind. I got to figure that Chris Finch up there in Minnesota is gonna have a better idea of what to do with Giannis and Anthony Edwards and how to make that whole thing work and win a lot of games. So yeah, I think that is one of the few situations, but again, that all depends on what they're giving up to get Giannis. But that looks like it could be one of the few situations that meet both of those criteria that I was talking about. That clears both those bars and meets the requirements that both Giannis and the Bucks would have in any trade that both of those parties have to agree to.
Talking with Rami Makloff here, 105.7 The Fan. One more for you. And I don't know if Chris, you have anything else, but one more for you, Rami. James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers. What do you? I mean, again, James Harden, another interesting guy. I think this is his fourth team in 5 years for James Harden. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, from a guy who was a legitimate superstar. I mean, he could have gone down. I mean, he's top 75. Like he's going to go down one of the best players, best offensive players for sure in league history. 4 teams in 5 years. Now in Cleveland with Donovan Mitchell as Darius Garland is shipped out. Do you think that makes Cleveland the class of the East now? With James Harden and are they able to make some noise out there?
No. James Harden is never winning anything, man. I'll just go ahead and say it. I'll take the field against James Harden every time. He's the champion of player empowerment. I'll give him that because he has forced his way out of 4 situations now. He will never be an NBA champion. And if he ever is on a team that's going to win an NBA championship, they better figure it out. They better figure out how to hoist that Larry O'Brien trophy within 2 years, because that's the shelf life of James Harden in any organization. It doesn't matter where he goes. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. It doesn't matter who he's playing for. It just doesn't matter, man. That guy's not going to be happy and is not going to be good for your organization, no matter where he ends up. I mean, it looks good on paper. Him and Donovan Mitchell together. I don't put a lot of stock or belief in the Cleveland Cavaliers because they traded for James Harden. But the East is so wide open, man. Like nobody knocks my socks off. You know what I mean? Nobody is impressive really in this conference. So could they come out of the East? Yeah, but I thought last year going into the playoffs they were kind of a paper tiger and wouldn't be the team to come out of the conference. And I think adding a James Harden only makes you that much more of a paper tiger in my eyes. Could they get hot at the right time and make a run in the playoffs? Sure. I wouldn't bet on it. There's a couple teams in the East that I would lay some money down on before I did the Cleveland Cavaliers with James Harden.
Okay, I can see. I definitely can see a run happen. I can definitely see it. Okay, this is the true last one. I promise. This is the last one. Give me a bold take on whatever. What do you think is the most? What is the most surprising thing that's going to happen between now and the trade deadline? Anything? Give me anything at all.
I think the most surprising thing, because of how many rumors keep getting peddled that it's a sure thing, that the most surprising thing will be the move that doesn't happen, and that's Giannis. He's not getting traded by the Milwaukee Bucks before 3 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. I said on our show, if he's not a Buck by the trade deadline, I'm gonna do if HR and legal will clear it. I'm gonna do a whole segment of our show just in my underwear outside. All right, just my underwear and a t-shirt, standing outside in the cold. That's how sure I am that Giannis is not getting traded between now and the trade deadline. I think the other most surprising thing already happened, because as much as James Harden has been a malcontent and has forced his way out of every situation, the Clippers were on a roll, man. Like I don't think nobody was really sniffing any trouble coming out of Los Angeles and that Clippers organization. Things were smooth sailing for the first time in a long time, and that the report and the trade all happened within a matter of like 18 hours. That James Harden and the Clippers were looking into trades, and then all of a sudden he was a Cleveland Cavalier earlier tonight. That again, for you never know what James Harden is going to want or where he's going to want to be on any given day, but that one still surprised me, just how it came out of nowhere and how quickly that all went down.
Yeah, no, that did come out of nowhere. It went crazy. James Harden gone. His people, him and his representatives. I mean, maybe Giannis wants those representatives because you can get yourself out of some a little bit quicker than what the Bucks are doing. Rami, appreciate it. Of course, we'll be listening to you. 105.7 fan. Appreciate you joining us for a little bit tonight, man.
No problem. I'll talk to you on Thursday, Trey.
Absolutely. Good deal. Thank you. All right. That was Rami Makloff. 105.7 the fan. Good stuff for Rami there. Chris, where'd you go? I don't know where Chris went. Oh, there he goes. Okay. All right. Let's okay, good deal. Good stuff from Rami there. Let's go to Super Chat. Dustin Wagner says, we don't control a pick in 27, 28, 29, or 30. Getting picks in the 20s from other teams is not an asset. Better off getting talented players like Jaden McDaniels, Morant, Hero, as well as solid prospects. I somewhat agree that I'd rather have the players versus the picks. Now, again, I want the picks too, but I definitely want the players. Like I definitely want the players, no doubt about it. And then William Arrange Super Chat, he says, thoughts on Heat fans chanting, "We want Giannis at home today." Oh, I didn't hear that. Wow, they did that. Wow, did they really do that?
It's Miami. Come on now, you know they did that.
That I can't. They did. Let me. I want to see like a. Well, yeah, I'm looking at Twitter. Yeah, there was. Wow, that is some. So again, I think you know what you talk about all this stuff. I think it's hilarious, Chris. The fact that, and again, I don't think Miami's going to get him. I just looked at so the odds on it have gone down slightly on Giannis staying. They're up at around 50% earlier today, and they're down about 40 or so now on Giannis staying with the Bucks, about 43% chance. But yeah, I think right now, Chris, it's Minnesota or he stays. Yeah. And it's the thing I thought was funny is when you look at on the Miami side of things, I feel like they're gonna miss out on yet another star, and that's got to be tough for that organization. Listen, folks. I mean, again, this is real. There's a bit of realness about it. We'll know, of course, by Thursday. You know how real it really was, but. Again, I really think you got to make it. To me, tomorrow's the big day. To me, tomorrow's the big. You got to make it past tomorrow because on Thursday I think it's gonna be very tough to get all of the I's dotted and T's crossed. It's gonna be hard to get all that stuff done. So we really got to make it past tomorrow. And again, I'm 100% rooting for Giannis to still be a Milwaukee Buck at the end of this thing.
Right, and when we get to tomorrow, it's like, okay, if Minnesota is the only potential landing spot with Miami kind of creeping up there too, like it's just they're going to have to put together something massive. As closer as we get to the deadline, like they're going to have to be scraping for more. And the Bucks seem to kind of have the leverage here, and which is good and which you obviously like. But like think about how deep the West is, how we know that Anthony Edwards can't really do it on his own so far to this point in his career. Like they're going to have to, if they want to make this move, they're going to have to gut basically a lot of their young pieces. And I wouldn't be so opposed as to say, hey, if you really want to make this happen, let's look at Naz Reid too. Let's look at Naz Reid there, and you're getting a superstar, a guy who can play that Naz Reid role without the jump shot, right? And so I just feel like the closer we get, the more you look at how the Thunder or the Minnesota Timberwolves have not fared in the Western Conference in previous years. I think like that would be the ideal spot for an Anthony Edwards to pair up with Giannis, but they're going to have to, it seems like, work with desperation here as we get closer and closer to the deadline.
Yeah. And because again, you know, if you look at it, there's the Minnesota aspect, there's the Miami, and then there seems to be this this angle that the media keeps pushing, this Golden State angle. And again, none of those make sense. Todd's the only one pushing this OKC angle. And I'm telling you, he's not going to OKC. It's not happening. But yeah, it's just hard. It's just hard to see it, man. It really is hard to try to picture it. And then you have this article. I guess I want to ask the chat. I should have asked Rami, but I want to ask the chat. Like, what do you think? What did you make of the article that came out? Like, what do you make of that, Chris? Like, is that Giannis talking it up for the fans, or is that like what? Because again, here's the thing. When you say things like that, when you say things like, I want to be a Buck for life, to me, I somewhat don't like it because it insults my intelligence, because I know for a fact, we talked about it for a second when Rami was on. When Jimmy Haslam buys the Milwaukee Bucks, you don't buy a team with a superstar and then immediately want the superstar to leave, because the valuation of the franchise, let's just say you bought it and the valuation was $1 billion. Well, it ain't going to $2 billion when Giannis leaves. The valuation is going to go down. So my point there is the ownership group, as much as I know people hate Jimmy Haslam, the ownership group didn't come in and say, you know, first in order of business, let's get rid of Giannis. That's not your thought process. So for them to be entertaining this, it has to come from somewhere. I don't for 1 second believe, and the latest Mark Stein report backs that up. There's not a bone in my body that sits and believes that the Milwaukee Bucks are like, you know what, it's come to the crossroads. We'd probably be better off without Giannis. That didn't happen. And I don't have any proof of that, but I know for it, everything I have known about the Milwaukee Bucks and what I do, that I know that didn't happen. So this had to come from his side that wants out. And again, some of the reporting would lead to that conclusion anyway. But so this is my question, Chris. Is it not then insulting for Giannis to come out in an article and say, I want to retire Milwaukee Buck, and say things of that nature? Do you get upset by any of that, or what do you think?
I think here's where I'm at with it. It seems like, again, we've talked about this throughout basically the whole season. It seems like just trying to leave on good terms, trying to leave with goodwill in Bucks fans' minds, but it doesn't. Again, like you said, Trey, this doesn't come out of thin air. I have a hard time believing that Giannis's camp isn't wanting out for the sake of his career trajectory. And so when you come out and say things like that, it just seems like, all right, I want to put that last thought in Bucks fans' mind that this could possibly not be on me. This could be me continuing my loyalty to the city of Milwaukee, when in reality I want out because I want to win another championship. And so that's where I'm at with it. I don't believe that it's super genuine. I don't think Giannis has been completely genuine in his whole process this year. And that may not even be him as a person. It may just be his camp. But still, if you've got guys talking to the front office in your camp about leaving, then it doesn't make me believe that now, right before the trade deadline, right before something could possibly happen, that you are just so loyal and you want to remain a Buck until retirement, when in reality, you know, other things are going on behind the scenes that kind of contradict that point.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same wave. Monica with the chat says Fertitta bought the Rockets, traded Harden, CP3 and Westbrook, and then Tank. The difference is neither one of those guys that won a championship. That's the difference. I'm not disagreeing with you, but Westbrook, CP3, Harden, none of those guys won a title. Those guys, matter of fact, they probably proved that you needed to move off of them. And now you look at the Rockets, and they have a team that hopefully they can, I guess, for their sake, they're ready to try to compete for something this year with Thompson and Sengun and Kevin Durant. I didn't see this. I'm looking at something else from Mark Stein's report where he was saying, remember there was some talk about the Portland Trailblazers potentially trying to get in. Mark Stein says that Giannis's camp has continued to signal no interest in the contract extension with the Blazers, which would dissuade them from surrendering assets to trade for him, and likely limits Portland's realistic involvement in an eventual Giannis deal to simply third team facilitator status. So Giannis, if you're listening, again, I want, how many, like, who do you, let me ask you this, Chris, who do you, listen, come Thursday, I will have some, I'm going to wait, but we're going to have some conversations about these reporters and what Shams has broken a lot of news today, right? He has all the trade. He's gotten basically everything. But Shams is, at this point, is he not just a guy who, like, you go to give the information versus, I don't know that he's good. I don't know how good he is at rumors. Right. I don't know how good he is. Again, I'm not saying he's not tapped in and, hey, this happened, I got the up-to-date latest news. Yes, we understand he's getting those information. But is he just a guy that can report on things when they happen versus I can give you all this information about the things that are going on in the league? Is he a little bit off on that? But again, we will find some of that out on Thursday. But Chris, do you believe, then there's Mark Stein. There's this guy, Brett Siegel. Don't get me started on Evan Sittery. He's terrible. But, like, do you believe, then there's NBA Central. Like, what do you believe? Do you piece it all together? How do you put it together? Is like what you can believe versus what you don't believe? Are there certain reporters that you do, certain reporters that you don't? Like, what do you? How do you take it all, especially with all this information that's coming to you?
Well, it seems like everybody just wants to throw darts and then eventually be correct, because the consequences are basically nothing if you're just on social media and throwing out rumors that could be true, could not be true, or heard through the grapevine and it's gotten messed up somewhere. And it could, sometimes these sources aren't even reliable. So the interesting thing is where I'm at is you've got guys on the same network as Shams contradicting what he's saying. You've got Brian Windhorst, who has basically come out multiple times and basically, and not, he didn't obviously say Shams' name, but just two conflicting different reports from two guys, both hired by ESPN. It's just interesting that they've been so different in opinions, and it seems like Windhorst has certainly been a little more correct or on the right track in certain areas. So, I mean, it's really hard to trust anybody. To me, I think a lot of guys are throwing darts for clicks, and yeah, there will have to be a conversation, at least from us. It won't happen probably anywhere else, but at least from us, about who we can trust and who we can't trust.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting because as soon as you're right, Chris, because when the Minnesota trade happened, and it was so weird, like, I get so sick. Like, Shams has he's always wording things. Remember the wording the other week where he was like, Giannis, is he ready for a new home? Like, what is that? Like, you didn't announce a trade request, but he's willing to go to a new home. And then on this one, he goes, once Minnesota makes their trade, he then says, no, what was it? It was he said they're leaving space open for a certain Milwaukee Bucks star. Do you think we're talking about somebody else on the roster? Like, what? Why would you not say his name? Like, and he tweeted, and then when he got on, I was watching ESPN. Then he said it and didn't say his name. He said it just like that, which was weird. And immediately, to your point, Chris, Windhorst jumps on and pours cold water on it and says, Minnesota ownership group is they're I don't know, he didn't say the word cheap, but he said it's well known that he basically said they were hedging. He said they were hedging, and if they get Giannis, great, but they're also very interested in just shedding some salary so they don't have as much of a luxury tax bill, which is interesting. But I don't know. Again, we'll see how it all shakes out for the night. It was a good win over the Chicago Bulls. Chris King, do you think anybody is moved? Again, getting outside of Giannis, do you think guys are getting moved by tomorrow? What are the Bucks looking to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, it just goes to what we've been talking about all year, and it sucks because these guys have played great minutes for us, but I think you are looking at Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma. I think those are the biggest trade candidates for the Bucks right now. And then I'd also say, look, you check the value on Miles Turner and see what a contender is willing to do for him, because we know he's at least been a part of a championship roster, right? A team with the Pacers last year, and I don't know with the contract situation how much some contender would be willing to take that on for Miles Turner, but certainly I think moves have to be made. And when I look at those three that I just mentioned, I'm not even trying to fleece. I'm not even trying to get the best package for Bobby Portis or Kyle Kuzma or Miles Turner. I just want a restart. I want to restart as this current roster is, and see what you can do with that, and see how that maybe either helps the team when, Giannis is sitting out, or how it may hurt the team. And then you've you've certainly got some things to consider in the offseason. So I'm not gonna be sitting here saying, oh, I need a first round pick for Kyle Kuzma, or I need a first round pick for Bobby Portis, or both of them. Like, I just want some change. Change has to happen. It should have happened a long time ago with this basketball team, and you just can't keep holding on to guys that probably won't, no matter how this thing goes forward, probably won't help you all that much.
Jaker Obey says, get Moesha out of here. C Taylor 8249 says Greek wants NYC. Chess Ray says Giannis has been planning his escape. Iron Man Clan says we don't have any picks, guys. Tanking does nothing for us. Picks in the 2030s not really relevant to having a competent basketball team. Yeah, I think when they talk about tanking, it's about tanking for this season. I think you're right. The picks that the Bucks not having picks hurt. So even like I said, if you're trade, and that's why I think third and fourth teams are going to be necessary for a Minnesota type of deal, because you want picks from bad teams. Getting somebody else's picks that are good. Like, that's why Golden State's picks, where they're like, oh, we're gonna have, we can trade four first round picks. Well, again, those may work in 2030s so we're talking about a middle schooler right now. But those picks don't do anything like in the next year or two if they've got Giannis and Steph Curry and they're trying to win. Like, what do those do? And same that's kind of when we didn't talk about, but when Rami's talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. going for 3 picks, those aren't going to be good picks. Like, those are going to be picks in the 20s. So like, does that? I think that's a question. Like, okay, you got 3 picks, but you got 3 picks in the late 20s. You got 3 picks in the mid 20s. You didn't get picks at a top 10. So yeah, like 2 lottery picks are, better than, 4 picks, in the 20s and above. So, that's how that goes as well. Again, there's gonna be a lot of talk over the next couple of days about trades and what happens and where things go and where we see Giannis. So obviously that's going to be big on our minds. Bucks do win tonight. Chris King, 131-115. Real quick before we go to Twitter, anything else on the game tonight as the Bucks do improve? And again, let me ask you one more question too, because there was this talk. Like, I'll ask you this before we go to Twitter. There was another conversation, which I can't remember if it was Shams or somebody else, who said that Giannis, and we saw Giannis on court warming up today. Giannis, essentially, I guess there'd be tension. First talk before about tension, but there would be tension if the Bucks tried to shut Giannis down for the year to tank. What do you make of that?
Yeah, there could be tension, certainly, because the player that Giannis is, and that he wants to be out there, and that he wants to play. And if he gets healthy, I would be of the mindset of like, look, if Giannis is ready, even if this thing completely flames out, I wouldn't be opposed to him coming back with this basketball team, especially just trying to get a look after the deadline and see what the Bucks can be, or see what a new kind of reformed roster might look like if Giannis is out there, because then you would have either the idea if he comes back and they start losing still, then you understand what kind of the direction would be in the summer. But if he doesn't come back and you've made a couple of moves around the margins, you're just never going to get the ability to see that. So yeah, I think it would be wise to I think you can't really go wrong in the situation though. Like, I think if we are bottoming out and this thing is terrible and no chance at the playoffs, like, I understand why you sit him, but I would also want to get a look at him on the court and see him in a Bucks uniform again, and see him how he fits with some new pieces that they might be able to bring in.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've and it's a take that I would be hypocritical if I had any different of a take that Giannis should sit for whatever reasons. If he's healthy, he should play. If he's healthy, he should play. And I'm not saying you play him 45 minutes a night and try to. You don't have to do that. But if he was on a minute when the Bucks were in contention, number one, they were 500, and then two, he was on a minutes restriction. So yeah, this wouldn't be any different than that. You put him on you ramp him back up 20, 25, 30 minutes. He would never go over 30 minutes a night. And you try to go from there. And again, it's not like you're going for world beaters trying to win games. But again, just like tonight, you can win a game every now and then. Like, you got to lose every single game for a tank. This isn't the NFL. But yeah, I'm just fundamentally against got healthy players sitting all across the league. It's a problem for the NBA. And yeah, it's one thing where you have players load managing and all the issues we have with that, and we sit in the NBA. It to me, it's a bad precedent and a bad look when a team is just shutting a player down, especially the tank, or because you don't want this guy to get hurt so you can trade him later. I've just never been a fan of it, and I never will be a fan of it. So again, if Giannis is healthy, again, I'm not saying you bring him back early from an injury, but if he's healthy, I think he should play.
Yeah, and you won't be the first team to sit somebody out, and you won't be the last team to sit somebody out too. So there's that counterpoint.
That's true. No, it's definitely true. That's definitely true. All right, let's go to Twitter. See what Twitter has to say tonight on the night of a Bucks win. See if anybody's interested in talking about the Milwaukee Bucks getting a dub. Saint of Freak says 34 stays to a very mid team and horrendous coach just due to Glenn Rivers alone, I would ask out. I think he's saying stays loyal. So I think he was trying to say. J.R. Horva says too good to be a top 5 lottery team, not good enough to continue the playoffs, in limbo. I want Giannis to stay and give them one more chance to figure it out. Todd Merrill gives the latest from Mark Stein, which says the Wolves are undeniably making an all-out push to make this trade before the deadline. Lakers, see, this is bullshit. Oh, I see. Lakers will become a viable threat to land Giannis if he's not traded at the deadline. What picks do the Lakers have? I don't know about that. Warriors offer presumed to involve Draymond Green. Fuck do I want Draymond Green for? What are you talking about? That's why the Warriors thing is a joke. Like, yeah. Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Pods. Pods is not all that good to me either. As far as, like, if you're talking about blue chip, there's no blue chip there. Kuminga, okay. Here's the thing, Kuminga. This is why the Warriors, these teams are shooting themselves in the foot, because you had who's their new GM now? Dunleavy.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
Who's the GM of the? I think who's the GM in the chat? Who's the GM of the Golden State Warriors? I think it's Dunleavy. But he comes out and he goes because Kuminga wanted to get a trade. He comes out on the podium. First off, you have Steve Kerr who's sitting him, and then you have the GM come out and say, "Well, to demand a trade, there has to be demand. You have to have demand to demand a trade." So you just told me right there he's not worth anything. Your coach won't play him, and then you just sat on a podium at Dunleavy Jr. Yeah, thank you, Jaker. You come on a podium and now tell a player that you want to trade, you want to put him in a package for Giannis And you just told me there's no demand for him. You won't play him, and there's no demand. Why would I want him in a trade? Why would I want him? If you've come out, these people are stupid. Let's see. Brandon Minsky, and then Blake, and then let me see. Draft capital. Bucks hesitant to take back Draymond's contract. Will want to reroute it to a third team. Blazers would love to trade for Giannis directly, but Giannis can't signal no interest. Monaco says was hoping the Bulls completed the comeback there. Oh well, can't lose them all. Cookie the Best says the Jimmo article does wonders for everyone, knowing Giannis wants to stay to try to make it work. It's all the Bucks leadership, which had also shown they want him here, whether or not we actually keep him or not. And then E-Ryan99 says always feels nice to win. And the last one from Walter Bald White says whether Bucks trade Giannis now or in the summer, he's leaving and not signing an extension anyways. Why keep him now and waste the whole prime of his career? Warriors can offer the same package in the summer too, but if this drags to the summer, Giannis will ask for the Knicks. I don't know why. I don't know if that's true. And I also don't know why he could do that now. So to me, there's the same risk of he could ask to go to a certain place. He could do that right now. So, do you believe that, Chris? Do you believe that in the summer the Bucks will get they'll get less offers, or do you think that I feel like it's gonna be? I feel like you get more of an opportunity, and I feel like you get more teams involved in the summer versus right now.
Yeah, it goes back to just the desperation kind of builds a little more in the summer, I would say, rather than just understanding that this could be a possibility a week ago. I think the summer really exposes all, because if the Thunder go out there and repeat, look, somebody's got to go want Giannis in the West, and somebody's got to be willing to push their chips in and make those kind of moves. But then it also goes to the fact of like, okay, if Giannis's camp is saying no Portland and saying all this and dictating where he would want to go, then I just wonder what that means for the summer, and what kind of, like, if they don't move him at the deadline and there's been a couple of suitors that they'd be open to, what does that look like in the summer when more different teams start to enter the playing field for him?
Yeah, and that's what I want to see. Todd says the problem with Mark is that the Bucks don't have the ability. I think it's on Mark Gomes here, the ability to improve the roster. I disagree that they don't have the ability to improve the roster. They can, again, if you can flip everybody. If you're trade again, I'm not saying you're getting a bunch of first round picks for Bobby Portis, but if you can get any kind of asset for Bobby Portis, if you can get anything for Kuzma, and again, maybe it's Kuzma and Bobby together that you're getting something for, and then again, Miles Turner. If you can get imagine if you can get a first round pick for Miles Turner, right, with something else, and then imagine again if you want to trade those picks, you make your pick in this draft, but you trade the two others that you're going to get for something else, plus that Miles Turner pick. Like, there's an opportunity to go get somebody. Remember, the Miami Heat were talking about pairing up Ja Morant and Giannis. The Bucks could go get Ja Morant today if the whole thing is about pairing up, Ja Morant and Giannis. Todd, you keep talking about the OKC thing. The issue is the blue chip prospects. And I know they have two guys that aren't playing, that were picked in the top 15 or whatever. Those ain't blue chips. When you have an actual blue chip there, in like Chet Holmgren's a blue chip. Jalen J-Dub is a blue chip. Like, those type of guys I'm asking for if you're talking about OKC, not some guys I've never seen play before. That's not how that works for me. C-Tail1849 says Giannis controls more in the summer and he won't get a Supermax, or he won't work with the Bucks. He will tell teams he's not re-signing with them. But again, here's the thing, C-Tail, we just saw that if you believe Mark Stein's report, that's the same thing with Portland. He just said he won't re-sign to Portland. So he's already doing that. So why not? Why not? Okay. Let's see here.
I got one from Twitter.
Go ahead.
Guy Nicolay says, Kuz for Kuminga. We'll take a flyer for the rest of the year. Team option for 26-27.
Yeah, I could do.
But would the Warriors do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Why would they do that? Yeah. Right. Why would they do that? Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, I don't know why they would do that. Right. It's gonna be interesting to see how this how this all goes. Again, yeah, that was the other thing from Mark Stein. I don't know if I said it here, if I said this before the show. The latest from Mark Stein was the Milwaukee Bucks believe that if they could get lucky in the lottery, Giannis could stay. League sources say the Bucks, who deep down would still prefer not to trade their face of the franchise, believe that a bolt of lottery luck in May could still keep them alive, could keep alive Milwaukee's dream of convincing Antetokounmpo to extend the relationship one more time. So you have all this swirling, and then you have this. And again, listen, let me just say this to you. I've talked a lot of junk, and we talked about Giannis and his agent and all. I truly do believe he's torn. And I say this, the only reason there's still this opportunity, because if this is any other superstar, I'd probably say trade him in a heartbeat, because there's no way they're going to stay with you. But these European guys are different. These European guys are that's why, and as much as I hate him playing for the Greek team, that's why he won't stop. He's incredibly loyal to that Greek team. Incredibly loyal. Like these guys are a different breed. And so yeah, I do believe there's something to him being loyal to this Milwaukee Bucks team. And I do believe him when he says he wants to finish here, but I do believe he wants a championship as well. And it's just about, is it the right time? Does it make the most sense to do it? Anything else, Chris King, before we go to game balls here?
I don't think so. You were good.
All right, let's do it. Let's do game balls and the Milwaukee Bucks 131-115 victory over Chicago Bulls. Where are you going?
Man, it's tough. I'll probably go with. I got to give it to my guy Pete Nance again, man. He's really come along pretty nicely for this basketball team. I think he's kind of asserted himself, as awkward as it can look at times. I think he's kind of asserted himself as to deserving some minutes in the rotation at least through the rest of this year, because the three-pointer looks pretty. I mean, it looks ugly, but it goes in. And just the activeness, and that's what we've been kind of looking for all season, and just getting into passing lanes, rebounding the basketball. He certainly helps a little bit. So I'll go to the bench and go to Pete Nance, a.k.a. Stunting like my daddy, a.k.a. Run like a gazelle, a.k.a. I'm awkward, but I make it work.
Okay, there we go. Game ball for me, there's no question. It's going to Kyle Kuzma tonight. 31, 10, and 6. 1 steal, 12 of 22 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He was aggressive all night. Basically, from the opening tip, he was super aggressive. Went to the hole, wanted to get the ball, looked for a shot, got a shot, made great passes. I thought he was incredible tonight. He was the main reason the Bucks got to win. So Kyle Kuzma gets my game ball, a.k.a. I saw Kuz on J HUD, a.k.a. dancing down the line, a.k.a. Kuz, a.k.a. those are Kuz, not booze. A.K.A. might be the last time we see you. All right. Looking around, let's go around the league tonight. The 76ers are up 10 over the Warriors right now. Trailblazers are up 16 over the Suns. That game's on the cock. Pistons are up. Pistons beat the Bulls tonight, 124-121. Jazz beat the Pacers tonight, 131-122. The Knicks get a win over the Washington Wizards. Lakers beat the Nets. Hawks beat the Heat. Celtics beat the Mavericks. And let's see, there was the Thunder, 128-92 over the Orlando Magic. Of course, there were the trades that took place today. Chris King, James Harden for Darius Garland did go down. What did you think when you saw that, heard that? And does that move? I asked it to Rami, but does that move the needle for you, James Harden, to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland and a second round pick?
I think the more Really, I think the more puzzling thing to me was moving off of DeAndre Hunter for them. I thought he provided a lot to that team. 3-and-D guy, could score at a high level, and then just to get the return in which they got, what was it, Keon Ellis and another player?
Keon Ellis is good now.
Keon Ellis is good, but I mean, as far as your actual question goes, I mean, I think they're in a little bit of, okay, we need help. We need to get Donovan Mitchell help. We need to get guys in the margins around Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen just went for 40 the other night. And I think they realize as much as anybody, like, okay, if somebody is out there that could get Giannis in the East, that could get Giannis in the West, like, they need to make the urgent moves necessary to get them over the hump, because they've kind of stalled a little bit, right? They had that massive record, what was it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And now it's just like, again, to your point all the time, it's like, I don't know if Donovan Mitchell can do it as a one, but if you get guys like a James Harden out there, you get guys like Keon Ellis who can defend, because James Harden isn't good for that, then honestly, you give yourself certainly a better shot. And so that's where I would give props to Cleveland's front office, in the sense that, okay, you got a pass first guy now. And Darius Garland was certainly like that as well, but a guy with more experience, a guy with a lot more playoff experience at that. And I think they're just kind of attacking it. They understand that the East is open.
I'd agree with that take. I think that I think, like, kind of like Rami said, there's a chance that Harden gets on a heater, and Harden's still good enough. He can win you a couple playoff games. So, but yeah, it's gonna be. I still think they're gonna be in a world of trouble. I don't think this is going to be enough for them. But I agree. Again, you've gone as far as you can go with Darius Garland, and what I will say is I give him credit for. I will give them credit for trying to do something else and not being afraid, making a bold move, especially like you said, in the East that is wide open. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a chance that it works. But again, Harden's a guy that, as soon as the money looks funny, he's gonna be ready to bounce. And in some ways I don't blame him for that. But again, I give Cleveland a lot of credit. Ty Jerome's been out a lot of the year, but I give Cleveland a lot of the credit. I'm saying he's been out anyway, even though he switched teams. But I give Cleveland a lot of credit for gunning for it. I will 100% there.
It was Schroeder that was in that trade. I mean, I guess if the money makes sense, then moving off of DeAndre Hunter for those two pieces isn't bad, especially if you got some injuries and you get rid of Darius Garland. You got a guy in Dennis Schroeder who can at least come off the bench and provide something for you. So that's interesting. I'm wondering, they said in the chat too, the moving off of Jaden Ivey for the Pistons is interesting as well. Where'd he go? Did he go to the Bulls?
Yeah, he went to the Bulls, I believe.
Which is interesting. Again, now they've got two more guys in the backcourt alongside Kobe White.
Yeah, a lot of guards. I don't know if they're going to move off of Kobe White, but yeah, a lot of guards there for Chicago. And Jaden Ivey, again, he's still got a chance. I thought he was going to be really good, but he's still got a chance, to be a good player in the NBA. Dealt with some injury issues, obviously, but so for him, he's gonna get another chance. I think this was for Detroit, a guy they weren't going to use, because a guy they weren't going to use, because who Detroit get back? Let me see this trade.
They got Herter and another piece.
Kevin Herter. Okay, yeah, they got Kevin Herter back. So again, to get some 3-point shooting, though he's having a little bit of a downer year shooting threes. But I like Kevin Herter. He can shoot the 3 ball, and I don't know how much they're going to really be playing Jaden Ivey anyway. So I'm not mad at it for Detroit. Wonder what other moves they have coming up. But what do you think about? Let me ask this. I had this debate with somebody else, with another group chat I was in, about the Boston Celtics, and they go and get they go and get Vucevic for Anthony Simons. What do you think there? As far as, like, I mean, what do you think this bolsters their team and what they're going to be able to do? And again, so that's another guy another guard that Chicago's gonna have as well.
Yeah, so yeah, Anthony Simons. From what I watched a couple of nights ago, where you have Neemias Queta, and I don't really know who else, because Kristaps has been just out, right, with whatever he's got going on health-wise.
Yeah, I think he got the AIDS.
That's crazy. But I do think they benefit in some way from adding a specific name in the front court, because there were plenty of times where it's just Keita is just missing chip shots, and he certainly provides that energy, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that can get you over the hump as a front court option, whereas Vooch can step out, shoot the three a little bit, a presence down inside. So I just think it's a good move. I don't know about giving up Anthony Simons. Is your backcourt strong enough now to do it with Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and Peyton Pritchard? Like, that's where my mind goes. Is I saw what Anthony Simons did against us, and he was just on fire. And maybe you look at that as like a ceiling for him. I don't know if Peyton Pritchard and they're certainly great players, but I think Anthony Simons would have been good in a Boston uniform, and certainly would have been a guy that could microwave score and heat up in the playoffs and do some good things for them. So I think it's almost a wash, because I think they're gonna hurt a little bit from not having that kind of guy in the backcourt. And trade deadline's not done, so maybe they look at another option.
Well, yeah, and this is what I thought on it too. Yeah, I think you're right. They just all they did was create another hole. But here's the thing: what do they know about Jason Tatum? And if Jason Tatum's coming back, then this is not that big of a deal. If he isn't coming back, then yeah, you probably have some work to do from your backup guard standpoint. But if Tatum's coming back, at some point, then yeah, you can manage yourself through the rest of the season until he gets back. And then yeah, I think that Boston's a formidable. Obviously, they could potentially win the East because the East is so wide open. But yeah, I think if Tatum is back, I'm not mad at this at all. I think Vooch is 35, Simons is like 25. So I mean, but we'll see how that goes. I agree that they need some help, but they needed bigs. So they do get that, but then again, you just create another hole with your backup point guard issue. And yeah, Vooch is he's a good 3-point, good space guy. I've always liked Vooch. His best days are behind him. So this is a good chance for him to, especially if Tatum comes back, it's a good chance for him to be able to potentially get a championship. So that's going to be that'll be good. That's good for him. He's a vet in the league. His last 1 or 2 years, he's going to really be able to contribute to a championship type of team. So we'll see if that works for him. Anything else, Chris, that you want to get at? Again, tomorrow will be another big day. Bucks Pelicans tomorrow. And again, we'll have some more clarity. I wonder if there'll be more trades that pop off tomorrow. Again, in some ways, I hope so because it's exciting. In some ways, I'm just looking for it to be nice and quiet around Milwaukee. And if we can get to the Pelicans game with nothing happening, or at least nothing happening with Giannis, I'll feel pretty good. But anything else you wanted to get at?
I always when you get to the trade deadline time, it's always interesting because it seems to be like a lot of times when you go to sleep, something happens in the middle of the night too. And so something like that could happen as well. And so I'm wary of that and just making sure that we understand, what's coming and what trades do happen and trying to get the best content out for you guys. And so, yeah, I just think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a little concerning, a little scary here at times, but also just know that the Cream City crossover isn't going anywhere regardless of what happens. So I'm excited to keep analyzing some of these trades and seeing what happens around the league.
Absolutely. Cream City Cross will be right here for you as always. Whether it's me, Chris, JT, Justin. I think Justin's going to be off again tomorrow. But we will be here making sure to keep you up to date with the latest coverage, the latest updates. Appreciate it having Rami Makloff of 105.7 The Game. Excuse me, 105.7 The Fan coming in and spending some time with us this evening as well. Appreciate you guys. Of course, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you were right here with us, right here at the Cream City Crossover. We appreciate that as always. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit that like button on the way out. Make sure to tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend about the Cream City Crossover. It is the best Milwaukee Bucks Postgame Show in all of the land. Again, all trade deadline coverage right here. We'll be here again tomorrow. I think we'll probably do something Thursday as well. Just to, especially if anything happens with Giannis, we'll be on. Oh, yeah. But we'll be here. I think we'll be here today, tomorrow, and Thursday just to wrap up any trade coverage. Todd, talking about them Hornets, the Killer Bees. Killer Bees been the best team hottest team in the association right now. Give some. Let's see. James Moore says, "What do you think of Hornets' chance to do anything in playoffs? Do anything in the playoffs? I think they'll be happy to make it in. Like if I'll say this before we go. If I look at, let me just look at the standings here. These play-in teams: Chicago, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami. Ooh, that's gonna be tough. Philly's right above the play-in. Yes, here's the thing. I think Charlotte will get into the play-in for sure. 1-7 in a row. They were going to be sellers. Remember they were talking about Miles Bridges but he's now, they think he's going to stay. And they're gunning. And again, this is the whole thing. This is the beauty of like Charlotte sports and small team sports is like, to me, like, should this make you change your thought process? Like, I don't know. Again, how much do you really believe in the team? I believe in Con Knipple. I believe in Brandon Miller. I believe in Diabate. I believe in some of the pieces, but like, do you really need Miles Bridges? Do you really would you rather not get assets for a couple of these guys? I would think so. But yeah, Charlotte, they need a floor space and big. And they probably need. I'm assuming they could probably use a little help on the bench. Timer talking about Lonzo. There has been some talk about Lonzo Ball going to the Hornets. I think here's the thing. I think they get into the play-in. I don't know. Let's just take it to be 8 teams. I think they're better than Atlanta. I think they're better than Chicago. I think it's tough. Could they beat Orlando or something like that? Whoever's on the outside looking in to get themselves into the playoffs. But here's the thing. Do I think they could, if they snuck in as an 8 seed or a 7 seed, could they beat Detroit? Could they beat New York? Could they beat Boston? No. Could they beat Cleveland? No. Could they beat a healthy Philadelphia team? No. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're still, but it's a good stepping stone for them 100%. And they are a very, very fun team to watch. They play hard every single night. Again, it's the question, now, if they play these last 7 games, they could beat anybody. But no, I don't think this is them. I think they'll come down to earth a little bit at some point. But they're playing some good ball. And shout out to Charles Lee.
Yeah, they are playing good ball. And they do have, it was a really, quick emergence. And that sometimes could be all it takes if you get a guy like Con Knipple and Brandon Ingram just as those two have progressed. And
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller, sorry. And so, yeah, I think around the margins, they're pretty good. I don't know if holding on to Miles Bridges does all that much for them, but he's certainly maybe as much as he's hated off the court, right? Like, he seems like a guy that has that veteran presence a little bit to him and understands what it takes to he hasn't really played that much meaningful basketball, but just has that veteran presence to him. And so I think they've got something. They're cooking with something. And they could be a tough out if they get into a series. I would say I think they could probably steal a couple games, but I'm not sure that they could really make a big run at it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm on them too. All right, now tell a friend about the Cream City Crossover. This is the best part of Milwaukee Bucks Postgame Show in all of the land. Appreciate you guys for joining us. As always, be here tomorrow, be here the day after, talking everything Bucks, all things trades, all things Giannis. This has been the Cream City Media Group from the Guru
Chris King.
Family enemies only because I dare to tell you the truth. Don't take no wood nickels.